Hi, I'm Kelly. Since Dad left soon after I was born, it's just always been me and my mom. And I realized quite early on that she wasn't quite normal. On my 3rd birthday, Mom suddenly started running around like crazy and pulling the curtains shut. Then she blew out the candles on my cake and pulled me under the table. They're coming, Kelly.
Who's coming, Mommy?
Aliens, of course. We giggled quietly as we ate cake in our hiding spot. I thought she was pretty cool to make up funny games for me. Once when I was 5, we were at the park when suddenly she pointed excitedly at a man on a bench. Oh my God! See that guy, Kelly? He's your dad! Go hug him! I was so happy that I ran and threw myself at him, but he freaked out when I called him Daddy and quickly left. Just then, Mom came running after me, screaming, "How many times have I told you not to talk to strangers? And you're hugging one? Are you stupid?"
But, Mom, you just told me to.
She dragged me home and I was so confused. What kind of a game was this? Well, things just got worse. Mom was getting crazier. When I was 14, I had a high fever once and she took me to the hospital. The doctor was about to give me an injection when suddenly, Mom went bonkers. Oh my God, are you trying to drug my daughter? I'm calling the cops right now, you kidnapper! And then she attacked him. He had to call for help and it took 3 people to calm her down. The doctor told me Mom might have a condition called schizophrenia, and I'd have to keep an eye on her as much as possible. I knew I couldn't look after her while I was at school. Since Mom had a teaching degree, I asked her to apply as a teacher at my school, and thankfully she was hired. But to be honest, I didn't want anyone to find out we were related. The next day at school, I was running off for a big baseball match when I bumped into Mom. "You're gonna be great, honey. I love you." "Thanks, Mom." And I ran off before anyone saw us. But 5 minutes later on the field, I heard someone on the megaphone, and I turned around in horror. "I said I love you, and you said thanks? That's all I get? I was in labor for 20 hours with you, you ungrateful jerk." Who's that crazy lady talking to? No idea. Come on, let's start the game. I need to hear those words, Kelly. Everyone stared at me, and I wanted to disappear. Fine, I love you too, Mom. As everyone laughed, I felt really flustered, and I played my worst game ever. Later at home, I was so mad at Mom. How could you embarrass me like that in front of the whole school? And now everyone hates me for losing the game. Kelly, I don't know what you're saying. What did I even do? Are you embarrassed of me? Do you want me to quit? Fine, I'll quit. And she burst into tears. I sighed. No, Mom, I don't want you to quit. I'm sorry, okay? Sometimes I felt like my mom's mom, and it was exhausting. The next day, as I was having lunch alone, the meanest girl in class, Linda, came over. Wow, your mom's quite the freak show. My uncle runs a circus. Want me to ask him if he's got a spot for her? Shut up, Linda. Don't test me. Jeez, can't you take a joke? Looks like crazy runs in the family. I pushed aside my tray and attacked her. But suddenly, someone literally picked me up and took me outside. It was a boy from my class, Jake. You should have let me break her teeth. Kelly, she's the principal's niece. She'd just get you and your mom in trouble. I just need a break from everything. Well, how about we get out of here and do something fun? I looked at his kind eyes and my heart raced a little. How had I not noticed he was so cute before? After that, we were hanging out together all the time, and soon enough, we started dating. One day, Jake and I were making out in the science lab when suddenly, Mom walked in on us. I was so sure she'd kill me, but instead, she smiled broadly. Oh, my baby girl has found such a cutie. I'm so happy for you. But anyone can walk in here, guys. The janitor's closet is a much better place. Wow, your mom's so cool. Let's go to the closet then. We'd only been there 5 minutes when Mom barged in with the principal. See, I told you they were up to something. Didn't your parents teach you any morals? Mom, what are you doing? Thanks to her, Jake and I were scolded by the principal in front of everyone and given a week-long suspension. But Jake had a party planned at his place the next night, and nothing was stopping me from going there. I sneaked out, and my jaw dropped at the size of his mansion. It also looked like he'd invited the whole school. But as I walked through the crowd looking for him, I saw something even more shocking. Jake was dancing with Linda, and they were looking deep into each other's eyes. What's going on here, Jake? He suddenly pushed Linda away. Kelly, you're here, babe. I didn't know if you'd be able to come. So what? You thought you'd just have some fun behind my back? What a jerk move. Keep it down, Kelly. You're embarrassing me. And we were just dancing. Why are you acting crazy like your mom? I can't believe you said that. We're done, Jake. Kelly, I didn't mean... But I didn't let him finish his sentence. As I walked out the gate, suddenly my shoe's heel broke. As I flung it aside angrily, I heard someone behind me.
Whoa, are you okay? Can I help you?
I turned to see a boy who was my senior at school.
I'm Ron, Jake's older brother. I've seen you two around. You're his girlfriend, right?
Not anymore! Ron listened quietly as I told him everything and offered to drop me home. On the way, we stopped for ice cream and sat on the car's bonnet, talking and laughing. He was really easy to be around. When he walked me to my door, he suddenly took my hand.
I had a good time, Kelly. And this may seem fast, but I've been really wanting to do this all evening.
And he suddenly pulled me close and kissed me. It felt amazing, and I kissed him back. Later that night, I suddenly sat up in bed when I heard someone tap on my window, and I was shocked to see Jake outside. What are you doing here? Go away!
I'm not leaving till you listen to me.
I was afraid he might wake Mom, so I let him in.
Listen, I'm really sorry. You're my girlfriend, and if Linda bothers you, I promise I won't go near her again.
And I really shouldn't have said that about your mom. Please, give me another chance. He looked so sincere, and I just couldn't refuse. As we hugged and kissed, all I could think was, oh my God, I just kissed my boyfriend's brother an hour ago. The next day when I went to school, I saw Ron walking towards me, and my heart skipped a beat.
Hey, Kelly, I was just thinking about...
Just then, Jake turned up and slipped an arm around my waist.
Oh, hey, bro. I see you finally met my girlfriend. I can't wait for you two to be buddies.
Ron looked taken aback, but he quickly managed to smile and walk away. But one other person looked really unhappy to see me and Jake together. Linda. After that, Jake and I would hang out at his place often, and Ron always seemed to be around, which was driving me crazy. This one time, we were all playing video games, and Ron was sitting so close to me. He smelled so good. I could barely focus. Another afternoon, Jake and I went to their pool, and Ron had just stepped out of the water. I was so distracted when I saw him shirtless that I slipped. But Ron leapt forward and caught me just before I hit the ground, and I could swear there was electricity between us. If he felt the same, he didn't let it show. A week later, Jake and I had tickets to watch a big baseball game, but he felt really sick. I said I'd miss it too, but he insisted I go with Ron instead. And secretly, I didn't mind that at all. We were having a great time at the game. During the interval, we suddenly noticed people looking our way, and we realized that the kiss cam was on us. Guys, we're not together. But as the crowd chanted louder for us to kiss, Ron turned to me and smiled.
This is for the crowd, right? I don't know about you, but it wouldn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, me neither, duh. I'm not into you, like at all. Let's do this. I pulled him towards me and kissed him. The crowd's noise was drowned out for me because I was totally lost in this magical moment. All night, I kept feeling guilty about these feelings for Ron, but it was about to get a lot worse. As I walked to my locker the next day, I saw posters of me and Ron kissing stuck all over the walls with cheater written over my face. I saw Ron across the hall, and just then, Jake walked in. Oh, Jake, I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. It's not like it's even a secret. They were kissing publicly. Seriously, your girlfriend has no shame. Jake turned to Linda.
Why would you do this? I know it happened at the game. Ron told me. It's just a baseball game thing. Take down these posters.
I thought a major disaster had been avoided. But suddenly, Mom turned up.
Well, that's not the only time she's kissed that boy.
Mom, you're confused.
No, I'm not. This boy dropped you home one night and you two kissed. Wait, I have it in my notebook. Ah, yes. 21st August. The night of my party? You kissed my brother? And then you kissed me? And said we were all good again?
Jake, let me explain. But before I knew it, he charged straight at Ron, and the two were wrestling on the floor. As two teachers rushed forward and pulled them apart, Jake shouted at Ron,
"You backstabber! I'm never, ever gonna forgive you!"
As the two were taken off to detention, I ran out of there crying. I felt terrible. I had broken Jake's heart, and worse, I ruined the brothers' relationship. I didn't go to school for a few days, and Mom kept asking me what had happened, but I couldn't even be mad at her. It was my fault, and I had to fix it. The next day, I went to see Jake. He looked surprised to see me, but not angry. Jake, I'm here to say that I'm really sorry. I know I've hurt you, but I never meant to, and neither did Ron. It was a stupid thing we did, but please, don't let it come between you guys. And then, Jake said he'd had time to think about everything, and he didn't even love me. He only felt competitive with his brother at first, but now he just wanted to end things himself.
I know you're pretty, but you are crazy, just like your mom. And I am kinda into Linda.
I gave him a hard slap on the face and left. The next day, I skipped off to school happily, looking for Ron everywhere. I finally found him, and I ran straight towards him and kissed him. Suddenly, we heard Mom speaking into the megaphone.
You didn't even invite me to your wedding? You ungrateful jerk!
Well, Ron and I are dating now, and it's the happiest I've ever been. We also took Mom to the doctor together and got her onto meds. And she's doing a little better. Hi, I'm Catherine from a small village in Norway. When I was born, the midwife handed me to my mom, and when she pulled the blanket away from my face, Mom screamed. All the village women standing around gasped. Dad came running into the room, and he looked at me, horrified.
My God! Your family's curse is upon us! She looks exactly like your sister, the ugly one!
I had no idea what they were talking about then, but in time, it became much clearer. Everyone in my family thought I was the ugliest girl ever. They all had pale skin, pale eyes, and light hair, but I had dark hair, dark eyes, and a permanent tan. Growing up, I was really lonely. I didn't have any siblings because Dad was too afraid of having more cursed, ugly children. And the other villagers acted like I had head lice and wouldn't let their kids play with me, just because I looked different. When I was 6, my parents realized they couldn't hide me forever from our relatives, so we had a family photo taken for our Christmas cards. But when Dad saw the prints, he tore them in half and grounded me. Before I went to my room, I picked up a torn photo and taped it back together. Then I drew devil horns on my parents' heads. There, that looked better. One afternoon when I was 11, I snuck out my window and was sitting under a tree when a woman approached me. She said she was from the States and asked if she could take a photo of me in a heavy Norwegian accent.
I'm not an animal in a zoo that you can take photos of and laugh at.
Why would I laugh at you, child? I think you're beautiful. Can I meet your mom and dad?
She seemed nice, so I took her home. But as soon as my parents saw her holding my hand, they lost it. Before I could say a word, my parents dragged me inside and slammed the door in the woman's face. The American lady came back after a year, and this time, she brought a lawyer. She introduced herself as Betty and said she'd like to adopt me and take me to America with her. I didn't know where that was exactly, but anywhere out of my stupid room sounded great. I jumped into her arms and said yes. My parents leapt up from their seats and said no.
Why can't I? You guys don't even like me.
Mom pulled me into a tight hug immediately.
Nonsense! You're my flesh and blood, Catherine. Yes, your looks are a burden on my soul, but I could never give you up.
Betty took out a thick wad of cash from her purse.
Would this help change your mind?
And my parents had dashed off to pack my things faster than lightning. By the time we landed in LA, America, it was obvious that Betty actually loved me. She took me out to amazing cafes, shows, and amusement parks. Whenever we'd go out, though, I noticed people giving me strange looks, and I felt sad. So everyone here except Betty thought I was ugly too? She hired a special tutor who made me learn perfect English in less than 3 months. And sometime later, I joined the 8th grade. On my first day of school, I was getting the usual stares, but then something completely unexpected happened. I was surrounded by all these kids, and they were actually saying nice things to me. Love your beautiful tan.
I could look into your eyes forever. How about a date this evening?
Wow, you look like Princess Jasmine.
Wait, was I actually beautiful here? Later that day, a pretty girl I'd seen in my class caught up to me in the corridor.
Hey, Catherine, right? I'm going to call you Cat. Welcome to this dumpster of a school. Mine's the best group here, and you can join us because you're pretty. I'm Stella. And next thing I knew, I was hanging out with the most popular girls in school. After being an outcast all my life, it felt good to know that people wanted to be friends with me. But I soon discovered it was hard to keep up with them because we weren't really alike. All they wanted to do was hang out at the mall after school and buy more clothes, shoes, and makeup. I once wanted to go to a bookstore, and they looked at me like I was a freak. One day when I got to school, I found Stella and the other girls gathered around Leah, one of the girls in our group. She was crying, and when I asked what happened, Stella whispered, "Leah's dad lost his entire fortune. She's like really poor now, poor thing." Leah looked miserable all the time and stopped hanging out with us after school because she didn't have money to spend anymore. I tried giving her money once, but she wouldn't take it. A few weeks later, Leah sat down with us at lunch and took out a salami sandwich out of her bag. And suddenly, Stella went bonkers. "Ew, get that stinky garbage away from me. What, you're so poor now you can't afford lobster or caviar anymore? Leah's face crumpled into tears, and I felt shocked at the mean outburst. Stella, that was really rude. Oh, I've tried being nice, but I'm done. I've always let her be a part of my group even though she's ugly, but now she's poor too? It's time for her to go. That's it! I can't believe you treat a friend like this. Who cares that you're pretty or rich if you're such a horrible person? Hey, stupid village girl, watch your mouth. You would be a nobody if I didn't make you a part of my group. I'd rather be a nobody than be somebody like you. Come on, Leah, we're leaving. And with that, I took her hand and we walked away. I could feel Stella's furious glare drilling a hole in my skull, but I didn't care. From that day onwards, Leah and I got really close. We couldn't avoid Stella and her rude comments in class, but we started hanging out in the library during recess, and I'd always get extra lunch for her. Leah started coming over to my place too, and Betty always asked her to stay over for dinner. One day, I was saying goodbye to Leah at our gate when I heard a familiar laugh. OMG, Leah, are you homeless now? Has that Betty lady adopted you too? She seems to have a thing for adopting poor loser kids. What are you even doing here, Stella? Sadly, I just discovered yesterday that I live next to you. I'll have to ask my parents to move to a better neighborhood. That sounds like a great idea. Can't wait. And with that, I walked back inside. It was bad enough seeing her in school. Now it turned out we were neighbors. One night, I was outside playing with my cat when she suddenly leapt over the wall to Stella's place. I climbed over too and thankfully found her soon. I was tiptoeing away when suddenly I heard shouting from inside. I peeked in through a window and what I saw left me shocked. Stella was standing in front of her parents with her head hanging low, while they were both taking turns screaming at her.
Why are you so stupid, Stella? Just look at your pathetic grades. Are you slow? How are you going to run my company one day? Run your company? I'm pretty sure she isn't even going to graduate high school. It's so embarrassing, really. All my friends are always talking about how smart their kids are, and I just want to pretend that I don't even have a daughter.
Stella burst into tears and ran away from the room. I walked away quickly, feeling really sorry for her. I knew exactly what it felt like to have parents who always put you down. Hers seemed even worse than mine. The next day in class, I wanted to tell Leah all about what I'd seen the day before, so I scribbled a note and passed it to her. Just then, Stella raised her hand and said, "Miss, Catherine just passed a note to Leah." Oh no, no! The teacher swooped down on Leah like a hawk. She snatched the note out of Leah's hand, and to my horror, she started reading it out loud.
I saw something awful yesterday. Her parents treat her like trash. What is this about?
I looked over at Stella, and her face had turned white. It's nothing, miss. I'm sorry. But just then, Leah rose from her seat. Oh, I'll tell you all what this is about. The paper doesn't say the name, but Kat was just telling me about how the school princess Stella gets treated by her parents like dirt. Just imagine, she goes around acting like she rules the school, but her own parents hate her. I couldn't believe what Leah had just said. As everyone stared at Stella, the bell rang and she ran out of the room in tears. While everyone walked out whispering, I pulled Leah back. How could you do that, Leah? I told you a secret and you publicly announced it. Leah looked back at me angrily. Kat, have you forgotten how she treated me at the worst point in my life? She deserves this. But don't you see? This makes you as cruel as her. That was an awful thing to do, and I'm so disappointed. And with that, I went off to look for Stella. I walked into the girls' bathroom and saw her feet under the door of a stall. Stella, I know you're in there. Can you please come out and let me apologize? The door burst open and Stella stared at me with furious eyes. How dare you snoop around my house and spy on my personal life? And then you just tell everyone? You act like you're the best freaking person on the planet, but you're just a big hypocrite. Stella, I found out by accident, I promise. And I never meant for everyone to know. I'm really sorry. And we have more in common than I thought. My parents were awful to me too. I know what that feels like. You know nothing. And you're nothing like me. You're going to pay big for what you did, Catherine. And with that, she pushed me aside and stormed off. I didn't have to wait too long to find out what her payback was. I've been working on a complicated wind turbine model for years for the upcoming science fair. A day before the fair, when I went to the lab, I found my whole model smashed to pieces on the floor. As furious as I felt, I didn't want to give away Stella's name, so I told the science teacher I had no idea who it could have been.
but she stormed off to the principal to look into the matter. And it turned out there were security cameras in the lab. As I watched the footage in horror, I could clearly see Stella smashing my model with a baseball bat. She was immediately called in.
Stella, you will apologize to Catherine, and then you will pack your stuff from your locker. You are expelled!
What? No, please don't do that. My parents will kill me. I'm sorry.
You should have thought of that earlier. There is no room for such behavior in my school.
Just then, I stepped forward. Ma'am, please don't expel her. Stella's saying she's sorry, and I believe her. She's my friend. We just got mad at each other. Please give her another chance. The principal's face softened, and she decided that she would suspend her for 2 weeks instead. I was so relieved. As we left the office, I turned to Stella. You were mad at me, and you took your revenge. Let's call it truce now and start over. I extended my hand to her, but she just slapped it away. Do you think for 1 second that I'm actually sorry? If I could, I'd smash your project all over again. Stop acting like the freaking angel of Norway. I hate you. You know what, Stella? I think you just hate yourself. And just because your parents are jerks doesn't mean you have to be one. You can choose to be a better person. I didn't see Stella for the next 2 weeks, but she didn't come back after her suspension either. I found out that her parents had decided to send her to some boarding school in Europe, and I never saw her again. Leah truly regretted what she'd done and apologized, and we became friends again. We both graduated from the same university 4 years later. I'm now working as a social worker in an adoption agency. I want to help other kids find homes and families where they will be truly loved, just like I was by my adoptive mother, Betty.